Disney's spin-off animated series in the 90s were awesome, and one of the main reasons they were so good was their villains. So it was only a matter of time before someone made a top 10. And that someone is small, chubby, and has a PhD. Hi, I'm Dr. Panda, and for this top, I took into account all the animated series based on Disney movies from 1992, with the Little Mermaid series, up to 2000 with Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, because I couldn't leave out such a gem. There's only one series from that period I didn't include in this ranking, and I'll explain why at the end. Let's see if you can guess which one. Let's get started. Number 10. Cruella De Vil. It's impossible to think of 101 Dalmatians without thinking of Cruella. Her appearance in the 1961 movie left a mark, so of course she had to be the main antagonist in the animated series. However, the version we see of her in the series is a bit different due to the circumstances around the show. The first change she suffered was her wardrobe, as her black dress and fur coat were replaced with a black and white outfit for budget reasons. As for her personality, the series presents us with a very different Cruella compared to the original version. She's less insane, doesn't smoke anymore, and has abandoned her obsession with fur. All this because, according to rumors, Disney wanted to avoid including smoking and animal abuse in a Saturday morning cartoon, which I guess is understandable. In this version, Cruella's main goal is no longer the Dalmatians, but owning the land that belongs to Roger, Anita, and their pets. And her character leans more toward greed than uncontrollable madness, which shows in her evil schemes. For example, in the episode Cruella World, the villain thinks she's discovered oil beneath her swamp and plans to drill there. But to disguise her drilling operation, she builds a whole amusement park to cover up her secret work. Very far from the Cruella we met in the original movie. That said, some of her evil plans, like this one, are actually pretty fun to watch, so I give her points for that. Especially because it includes references to Splash Mountain, great moments with Mr. Lincoln, and the Dumbo ride. I placed her at the bottom of my top 10 because of how much her character had to be toned down to fit into a Saturday morning cartoon-friendly version. Don't get me wrong, she's still got enough of that good old Cruella charm to make my top list, but it feels like a watered-down version that doesn't quite reach the memorability of the original. I mean, if you take away Cruella's madness, her cigarette, and her obsession with turning Dalmatians into coats, what's really left? Number 9. Evil Manta. We have to talk about this guy because he's got almost everything it takes to be the perfect villain. Emphasis on almost. His first appearance happens in the episode Evil Manta, when Ariel finds a poor creature trapped in a volcano. Flounder warns her not to free it because of a fearsome legend of a monster, but Ariel doesn't listen, even though this creature has obviously villainous eyes. Ariel frees him, revealing that it's actually Evil Manta. The guy is truly scary, which is heightened by a fantastic soundtrack. The monster arrives in Atlantica, where he starts manipulating the inhabitants to create problems among them by convincing each one that they are better than the rest. In his own words, he just loves making friends turn into enemies. The villain has the look and presence of a Disney movie villain, accompanied by an amazing voice performance from Tim Curry that makes the character even more intimidating. Unfortunately, the villain has some weaknesses that prevent him from ranking higher on my top list, particularly his evil skills. Basically, Evil Manta's only real ability is sowing discord among other characters. He spreads gossip and sweet-talks the others, which isn't particularly impressive if you ask me, especially considering his intimidating appearance. It's not like he's got hypnotic powers or anything like that, mind you. He just happens to convince everybody to hate each other. His abilities, or lack thereof, don't match his looks, and overall I think he's a lot of wasted potential. Oh, and did I mention he is defeated with the power of music? Yeah, a song about harmony, no more, no less. Number 8. Ursula. There's no doubt that Ursula is one of Disney's most iconic villains, and I think that's why the creative team behind the Little Mermaid animated series decided she absolutely had to be included in this spin-off, giving her appearances in 4 episodes of the show. Generally, throughout those 4 episodes, Ursula keeps her personality and that very characteristic essence from the movie. Plus, she has some musical numbers that I thought were pretty good and fit the character well. However, it's also true that because of the series' lighter tone, there are moments that make Ursula seem a bit different from the original version. In the movie, Ursula was a serious and intimidating villain, but in some parts of the series, that changes. For example, in the episode Against the Tide, Ursula mentions she spent the whole day failing to make any of her potions work, and then realizes there's a bad luck creature outside her cave that's causing her misfortune. Ursula tries to catch this creature, but looks very clumsy and silly in the process, and to top it off, she doesn't even succeed in the end. In my opinion, this makes the character lose some of the imposing and intimidating nature from the original movie. That said, the series did give us this image of Ursula transformed into a crab, so I shall be forever thankful for that. And speaking of the Little Mermaid series, I'll soon be making a video revisiting that epic episode where Ariel meets her own creator, Hans Christian Andersen. It's gonna be great, so stay tuned. Number 7. XL. XL is a violent robot with a thirst for revenge against Star Command, and basically comes equipped with all kinds of built-in weapons, from sledgehammers and drills to lasers and egg beaters. He was the first prototype of a robotic space ranger before XR was created, but he turned out defective. He was too large, and with such a violent and destructive personality that he had to be deactivated by order of Commander Nebula, in an event that made the Star Command leader hesitant about the idea of robotic space rangers until XR appeared and somewhat changed his mind. After Zurg reactivates him, XL launches his plan for revenge. He nearly defeats Commander Nebula, but Buzz and the team intervene just in time to stop him. I really like XL because being XR's older brother lets the show dive deeper into the little robot, who doesn't usually get a lot of time under the spotlight. Plus, the villain has a motivation we can empathize with, feeling rejected and abandoned by someone he considered his father, Commander Nebula. I have a soft spot for characters who appear mid-series to expand the world building and lore, which is why XL earns a spot on this ranking. Number 6. Lady Waltham. She's an iconic villain who marked the childhood of many because of the big revelation that happens halfway through the episode she's in. Lady Waltham initially arrives in the jungle pretending to be a photographer, but she's actually seeking revenge against Tarzan and his friends for the death of her brother, Clayton. We already covered her story in this other video, but the villain manages to put Tarzan in serious danger and even leaves him on the brink of death, which lets us see a much more human and vulnerable side of the ape man. The episode is structured in a way that makes the revelation impressive, especially if you were a kid, leaving a big impact and turning Lady Waltham into a character that many of us still remember today. In fact, the episode's premise and character development are so strong that it could easily have been part of a much more memorable sequel movie than what Disney gave us with Tarzan 2 and Tarzan and Jane. Number 5. Zurg. As the main enemy of Buzz Lightyear in the Star Command series, Zurg is a rather peculiar villain who brings a fresh vibe to the rest of this ranking. You see, the evil Emperor Zurg is the most widely feared villain and criminal in the galaxy, whose main goal is precisely to rule the entire galaxy. But he's also probably the villain who takes himself the least seriously in this top 10, possessing a delightfully twisted sense of humor. Clearly, the character is a parody of the typical villain who wants to conquer the world, complete with evil monologues and all. And even though he's the series villain, he often functions as comic relief as well.
We have you down for 2 p.m. gloating?
I thought 2 p.m. was scheming.
We bumped scheming to 3.
Now, it would be nice if someone let me know that. The Emperor's always last to know. You ever hear of a memo?
Some of his comedic moments even come through his evil plans, like in the episode Root of Evil, where his scheme is to turn the vegetables on a planet into animalistic carnivores so kids will be scared to eat their veggies, grow weak, and make it easier for him to conquer their world. In fact, because of these evil plans, he sometimes reminds me of Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and I just love that. Number 4. Queen Law. Queen Law is one of the most iconic villains from the Tarzan series, even though she only appears in 3 episodes, which speaks to the impact her character left on the show. What's most striking is that, in a way, the 3 episodes give her a complete character arc on their own. Her first appearance is in The Lost City of Opar, where Queen Law's leopard men kidnap Professor Porter to perform a ritual. When Tarzan and his friends arrive to save him, she apologizes and pretends it was all a misunderstanding. Queen Law invites the heroes to spend the night in her city, but during their visit, she tries to seduce Tarzan several times to make him her king, while plotting a way to get rid of Jane. And by get rid of, I mean kill. But in a climactic scene, Tarzan and Jane manage to save the day and escape from the city in ruins while Law vows revenge against them. We see Law again in the episode The Leopard Men Rebellion, which starts with the leopard men kidnapping Jane. Tarzan rushes to rescue her, but along the way, he finds the queen about to be devoured by a real leopard. The ape man saves her life, and they form an alliance to rescue Jane. Tarzan and Law arrive in time to free Jane, but when Tarzan leaves, Law punishes the leopard men for rebelling against her. The ape man discovers that the reason the leopard men had kidnapped Jane was to make her their new ruler and free themselves from Queen La's oppression, so the heroes return to dethrone her. Jane completes the ritual, turning the leopard men back to their normal leopard forms and reducing the queen to dust. But that couldn't be the end for La, so of course she had to return once more. This time in the episode, well, the return of La. In that episode, Jane finds an injured antelope and tries to heal it, not realizing the animal houses the spirit of Queen La. The queen takes control of Jane with the intent of restoring her fallen kingdom, but she realizes her new body is too weak to reach it on her own, so she seduces Dumont, who helps her achieve her goal. What they don't know is that Tarzan is following out of concern for Jane. Queen La manages to find the two pieces of her staff and resurrects her lost kingdom, but Tarzan ultimately saves the day and frees Jane, officially bringing the evil queen to her end. Number 3. Tublat. Tublat is a rogue ape who hates Tarzan. He was a rival of Kerchak who was exiled after being defeated by him. Okay, maybe young Tarzan helped a bit. And his greatest desire is to lead the ape family, which means he wants to defeat their new leader, who happens to be Tarzan himself. And trust me, this guy is truly deranged. He first appears in the episode Tublat's Revenge, where a storm forces Tarzan to guide the rest of the apes to a cave for safety. What Tarzan doesn't know is that the cave is actually the evil gorilla's home. When Tarzan goes looking for a missing ape, he runs into the huge Tublat, sparking an intense fight. Tublat is so strong that he defeats Tarzan without much trouble. He stands before the ape family offering them a choice: accept him as their new leader or stay in the pit until it floods and they drown. Fortunately for his family, Tarzan lost the first battle but not the war. He comes back for a rematch and defeats Tublat with a blow from behind. But at the end of the episode, it's revealed that the huge gorilla survived. Tublat appears in 2 more episodes: Enemy Within, where his immense strength has allowed him to take over another gorilla family, and Caged Fury, where 2 hunters capture him to profit from him. Although Tarzan first agrees, he ultimately chooses to rescue Tublat, realizing the jungle is his home too. After the rescue, the gorilla tries to kill the hunters, but Tarzan stops him and defeats him once again, sending him falling into a pit. The evil gorilla rises again and roars in fury, promising yet another rematch that sadly never came. The reason I put him in this spot is that the guy's completely insane. He's massive, strong, ruthless, and willing to hurt anyone to achieve his goals. Plus, Keith David does an amazing job giving him a deep, chilling voice. I remember being terrified of this character as a kid, and I think that's a great indicator of what he represents as an antagonist. He just has it all, which is why he's such a memorable villain. Kind of like if evil Manta had actually had a proper ability and hadn't been defeated in such a lame way. A really interesting thing about Tublat is that he exists in Edgar Rice Burroughs' original novels as Tarzan's adoptive father. In the novels, Tublat is Kala's mate, who decides to adopt Tarzan after a very aggressive ape named Kerchak kills his biological father. And later, Tarzan kills Tublat to protect Kala from his wrath. Yeah, Disney may have taken some liberties with the story. Number 2. Warp Darkmatter. Man, this guy's got it all. A great backstory, solid abilities, a name I like saying out loud. Warp was a Star Command Space Ranger and, more importantly, Buzz Lightyear's partner and best friend. They worked together with the goal of defeating the evil Emperor Zurg until one mission went sideways, ending with Warp's death and Buzz's grief. What Buzz didn't know was that it was all an act. Warp faked his own death and officially joined Zurg's forces, for whom he had been secretly working since his academy days, changing his name to Agent Z and wearing a helmet that hid his face. When Buzz finally learns the truth, Warp reveals that he finds the evil side more fun and profitable. His first appearance is in the series' pilot movie, but he returns in other episodes, like Tag Team, where Warp and Buzz discover that both of them have had implants in their necks since their Space Ranger Academy days, so they decide to work together again to find out who's behind everything, only to discover it's these big-headed aliens who wanted to study the differences between good and evil. His main ability is related to his metallic arm, which can transform into different weapons like a flamethrower or metallic claws. The best thing about Warp is that he's a very personal villain for Buzz because of the close relationship they had while working together at Star Command. He's a villain Buzz has mixed feelings about. He hates him for deceiving and betraying him, but he also holds out hope that Warp might return to the good side someday. Unlike Zurg, Warp is an intimidating villain who is almost never the butt of the joke, which makes them complement each other well and function as a strong duo. And finally, Number 1. Hades. Hades is Disney's ultimate villain. From his appearance in the Hercules movie, Hades won everyone's hearts with his charisma, sarcasm, and temper. This same personality carried over to the Hercules animated series, which, thanks to the brilliant decision to forget the movie's continuity, as we discussed in this other video, allowed us to enjoy Hades as the main villain of the series, with that very personality that defines him. And the best part is that the original movie's voice actor, James Woods, returned to reprise his role in the series, which means we got to enjoy the same Hades from the movie, but now stretched across 65 episodes and with a new evil plan every week. Hades' goal in the series is to get rid of Hercules and take over Olympus, always accompanied by his ever-loyal pain and panic. I love that his schemes aren't generic villain plots, but creative and original ideas, like when he tried to steal the sun in the episode Hercules and the Apollo mission, or when he started his own late-night show after being humiliated by Hercules on the Merv Griffin program. This keeps the series fresh and super fun to watch. Hades is so memorable and outstanding that he's probably even more popular and remembered than Hercules himself, which is why I put him in the top spot of this ranking. The only series I didn't take into account for the ranking was Aladdin. I loved it as a kid, but it was really hard for me to find the episodes in good quality to properly revisit the series and some of its iconic villains, so it didn't feel fair to include it. What would your top 10 be? By the way, it was about time we talked about this strange character from the Tarzan series and why he's one of the most important in the show despite only appearing in one episode. What's his true identity? I made a video about it and you can check it out right here. Subscribe for more. Dr. Panda out.